Imagine this. You wake up on your 80th birthday, but instead of blowing out candles surrounded by grandchildren, you open your eyes and find yourself with the smooth skin, strong bones, and restless energy of a teenager. Your body is younger than it was yesterday, not older. With each passing year, you're not heading toward death. You're walking backwards, step by step, toward the beginning of life. Sounds fascinating, right? But what would actually happen if people aged backwards? At first glance, it would feel like paradise. Wrinkles vanish, pain disappears, joints no longer creak. Instead of dreading old age, people would look forward to it. Retirement would mark the start of your strongest, healthiest years. Imagine an entire society of elderly teenagers, wise minds in young bodies, full of energy, skill, and knowledge. Wars might end, productivity might soar, and people would chase passions they never had time for in the forward-aging world. But then, things get complicated. If time rewinds your body, what happens to memory? Would your mind also slip backwards, forgetting your experiences one by one until you're left with nothing but innocence and confusion? Or would you keep your wisdom trapped inside a body marching toward infancy? Picture brilliant scientists solving the universe's mysteries at age 40, only to lose their language and thoughts entirely by age 5. And what about families? The entire concept would flip. Parents would be raising children who were once their elders. A grandfather might shrink into a toddler while his daughter grows into her prime. At the end of life, instead of funerals, we would witness someone shrinking into a newborn and then vanishing with their very first breath. Life wouldn't end with death. It would end with never having existed at all. Society itself would unravel. How would education work? Kids would start as professors and end as preschoolers. Careers would begin at retirement age and finish in the chaos of childhood. Imagine a surgeon operating with decades of wisdom at age 60, only to lose the ability to even tie their shoes at 20. The cycle of responsibility, knowledge, and growth would collapse into chaos. And let's talk about love. Relationships would fracture under the weight of reversed time. Imagine marrying someone who looks your age today, but 10 years later, they're a teenager while you're approaching childhood. The balance of maturity, attraction, and partnership would crumble. Dating apps would look more like time machines than love stories. Even the idea of legacy would vanish. In our world, we pass wisdom forward. In a backward-aging world, wisdom would fade away like sand slipping through fingers. Instead of grandparents telling stories to children, children would remind their shrinking parents of who they used to be. The very meaning of history could collapse if every generation forgets as they regress. But maybe there's a silver lining. If people knew their lives would rewind, would they live differently? Would greed, ambition, and cruelty fade, knowing that in the end you'd return to innocence? Perhaps humanity would learn humility, cherishing wisdom before it slips away, treating childhood not as a beginning, but as the sacred closing chapter of life. So, what if people aged backwards? It would be a world both beautiful and terrifying. A life where time doesn't take from you suddenly, but gently, piece by piece, until you fade into nothing. Would it be a blessing or the cruelest trick of all?